Well. It looks like the Ethereum going masses have finally discovered that their blockchain is not the highly performance oriented exotic sports car they thought it was. Instead, it's more like a slow, clunky, unreliable, but expensive minivan with no locks on the doors. It was sold for years in a town where you could only buy minivans. Now they're discovering that there's a real exotic supercar store in town called Cardano. And somehow those supercars are more reliable, more secure, and less expensive than the terrible minivans. Unfortunately for us in Cardano, this is going to mean an influx of Ethereum refugees. It's going to seem like a burdensome flood, but our job is going to be separating the wheat from the chaff. We need to accept the consumers and filter all the shills, conmen, and fraudsters. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss Cardano's newfound Twitter engagement from outside the ecosystem, Maladex with some clarification on what's really happening on the 28th, a brand new Cardano Web3 game from a familiar face, and Carda Station adding some new elements to their metaverse this Sunday. If your first thought upon seeing this image was, I get that the floodwaters are the influx of Ethereum refugees, but neither of these cars is either a supercar or a minivan. Do you even car, bro? Or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Well, here it is, guys. Cardano is trending with 40.5 thousand tweets. And this volume of tweets has been a much larger number than the common sports trending keywords. The Bulls was trending earlier. It only hit something like 20 or 30,000. Some big names of some famous players were trending, and they were trending in like 14,500. Why is Cardano seeing this volume of engagement on social media today? It's exactly the things we were talking about yesterday. The second biggest blockchain in the world, Ethereum, finally reached this mega hyped event, the merge. All of the Ethereum people got through the merge, looked around, and realized, whoa, this was the big event we were so excited for. And it didn't solve any of the problems we were worried about, like the cost of transactions on the blockchain. That was the one thing everybody really cared about. And the merge didn't do anything to fix that. And then they looked around at what it did do, and it produced this proof of stake system where a gigantic chunk of the blocks are being made by entities like Lido, Coinbase, Kraken. It didn't produce this decentralized wonderland that a lot of people originally got into crypto and blockchain ecosystems for. The original reason, the whole idea of decentralization, it was if the hopes for decentralization had suddenly perished. Again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but on day one, decentralization was not looking good at all in Ethereum proof of stake. And what we've seen in the past is that decentralization usually only diminishes over time. It usually doesn't grow over time. It usually gets worse over time. And Ethereum was looking pretty bad on day one. So what's an Ethereum person to do? Things are not looking so hot in Ethereum world. Probably they think about the other large cap blockchains. They're not going to go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is stuck in the past. I own Bitcoin. I have for a long time, but Bitcoin not exactly doing much on the smart contract front these days. They're not exactly leading the pack in terms of technological innovations. The Ethereum people, they like Gen 3 stuff. That's why they're in Ethereum. They like smart contracts. They like proof of stake, obviously, or they wouldn't have been in Ethereum. So they're going to look at Gen 3 blockchains. They're not going to look at number 3, which is just a stable coin. They're not going to look at number 4, which is a stable coin. They're not going to look at number 5 because, let's face it, in the Binance world, decentralization, not a goal they're striving for. Number 6, again, another stable coin. They're not going to join the XRP army. Ripple, probably not what they're looking for. that leads them to Cardano. This is something we've been talking about on this channel for a long time. You may remember back on August 17th of last year, Cardano rumor rundown number 154, ADA and the ETH refugees. Or maybe even number 117, the great ADA migration from July 11th, 2021. Here's how much attention is turning toward Cardano. Even Haskell is slightly trending. Even Haskell is trending. That's saying something. But here's the catch with all this newfound engagement on social media with Cardano. There are going to be different types of individuals, different types of parties who will be included in this influx of refugees from Ethereum. The first part is probably the desirable part, and that's the consumers from Ethereum. Of course, we open our gates to Ethereum users, Ethereum consumers who want to come over to Cardano because they're sick of the high fees, they're sick of the robbery forest, they're sick of all the things about Ethereum that made all of us choose Cardano in the first place. They're just awakening to that delta, to that difference between Ethereum and Cardano right now, and that's totally fine. Come on over, use Cardano. Even having said that, there's still probably a sliver, a tiny piece of the whole pie when we compare that to the number of people who will hopefully be coming into crypto in general in the future. I think we're all probably convinced that the number of people coming into crypto in the future is such a larger number that even all of the users in Ethereum pale in comparison. I don't think we'd all be here if we thought that crypto's best days were already behind it. I think a lot of us think in the next bull market, that's going to be a much bigger chunk of the public than we've ever seen before. And that's kind of been the case in previous bull runs. It's always been a bigger group of people, a new group of people, and that group keeps getting bigger and bigger. So even the consumers from Ethereum, who we should welcome, even they will probably just be a small chunk of the pie of people using Cardano in the future. Another group coming in will be not consumers, not users, but people trying to make money off the consumers, people who've been doing that in Ethereum for a long time. They're also going to want to come over to Cardano for different reasons, not because they're sick of Ethereum, but they might be making the calculation that maybe Ethereum's best days are behind it. Maybe Ethereum is waning and Cardano is on the rise. So of course they're going to come over to Cardano. But a lot of these same people will be the same people who've been very detrimental to Cardano in the past. The same people saying all kinds of bad, inaccurate, intellectually dishonest things about Cardano for years. A lot of those people will suddenly become turncoats to Ethereum and want to jump on the Cardano train. Why? Because they're going to go wherever they think they can make the most money. Those people have got things to shill to you, and they're going to go wherever they think the most money resides. They're also going to come over to Cardano. Those people, I don't think we necessarily need to open the gate. I think we need to separate the wheat from the chaff. Those people are the chaff. The consumers are the wheat. Of course, let the consumers in. We need to filter out these people who for years have only been in crypto to make money off crypto consumers. And it's important to note these people are different than the builders who might have been building in Ethereum, who suddenly see that Cardano has some excellent things going on. They might say, hey, it's actually looking now like the opportunities in Cardano, the technological opportunities in Cardano might be greater in the very near future than in Ethereum. I think I'd like to go over and build in Cardano because I think the technical environment over there might actually be better than Ethereum. Of course, those builders, of course, they're part of the wheat, not the chaff. We let them in. We should let them in as well. But all of these other people who aren't really builders, they're not really consumers. They're just the sycophantic parasites who've been trying to make money off all of the Ethereum users all these years and saying very intellectually dishonest things about Cardano all along the way because that was in their best pecuniary interest. Those people, I don't think we need to let those people in at all. And I don't think this this parasitic portion of the Ethereum refugee influx is just limited to non-projects. I think there are projects over on that side of the world that are real projects, but they don't really bring anything to the table. They don't bring any technological innovation, not even any conceptual innovation to the table. They're just like the 33rd clone of something else over in the EVM world. And they exist only to make money for their founders. They've created very clever ways to convince the users that the users are going to somehow make money or somehow benefit, but really the only goal of the project is to make a lot of money for the founders. When those projects try to come over, and they will, they're going to see that there are very green pastures over here on the Cardano side. They're going to try to come over as well. When they try to come over, and I'm faced with a choice of using that project, even if it has a pretty big name over in the EVM world, if I have a choice of using that project or a homegrown Cardano project in the same arena, same genre of use case, you can bet I'm going to use the homegrown Cardano project, because those projects, when they take all those user funds that they collect, they're going to do things that are beneficial for the Cardano ecosystem. But this 33rd clone of some project over in the EVM world, Cardano is just an additional market for them. It's just an additional user base. They're not going to take that money and do things that are great for the Cardano ecosystem. That money is going to leave the Cardano ecosystem. Speaking of actual, real, native Cardano projects, you'll remember we discussed this tweet from Maladex yesterday. Expect us 28th of September. Yesterday, no one really knew exactly what that meant. Some people were speculating that that would be the actual launch of the Maladex platform, but that did seem a little quick. I mean, Vassal would just barely be out the gates. Luckily, Maladex came on Twitter and clarified today that that date is not the platform launch, but something big, with this gigantic smiley face. And notice the big. It's a triclops. 3 eyes. A triclops big. Something big, but not the platform launch. Some people were guessing maybe it's the testnet launch, something like that. But we know it's not the platform launch. Something big. We also had a couple of video releases from Charles recently, and he did release a couple of interesting bits of information. Lace Wallet, the Lace Wallet that a lot of people are waiting for, will be unveiled at the Rare Bloom event in Denver. Lace 2.0 will have a Tala integration, and he's thinking that'll happen sometime next year. So that's going to be the integration of digital identity with a high functioning Cardano wallet. That's going to be interesting. He also said at the Cardano summit, they'll probably have a Crypto Bisons announcement for everybody. So Crypto Bison is going to be interesting. I'm still really curious to see if they're doing something kind of innovative with the algorithmically produced music integrated into a video game like this. I'm really curious to see if this is actually fun to play. It kind of sounds like it will be, and I think that's going to be a big deal. If they can do something so innovative and still have it be a fun video game to play, I think that's going to be interesting. Speaking of gaming, did you know that NFT Maker is going to be making games? Because it looks like they're going to be making games. The first title being called Rogue Galaxies, a Web3 MMORPG set in outer space. Rogue Galaxies, we're proud to finally announce what we've been working on at NMKR Games. Behind the scenes, the team has been busy planning our first major game, Rogue Galaxies, a sci-fi roguelike MMORPG where it's all about space exploration, fighting, harvesting, and upgrading your character and spaceship. Rogue Galaxies is set several thousand years after the evacuation of Earth. Be warned, if space was dangerous before, venturing out now is a death wish. And a lot of other sci-fi, post-apocalyptic kind of sentiments. What I think is really interesting here, though, is that they're talking about a hybrid funding model. They say game development is expensive. Teams must be built. Artists must be hired. This is precisely why we'll create a hybrid funding model and explore multiple funding mechanisms. But you can guess what is one of the big funding mechanisms, because this is NFT Maker. One of the core mechanisms will, of course, be the sale of our NFTs. In Rogue Galaxies, you'll have the opportunity to own various objects as NFTs, level them up, upgrade them, and explore the world with them. So this is going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see. We've got a bunch of games with some ambitious plans. They're making some pretty big promises. And of course, the first easy step is to sell some NFTs or sell a huge number of NFTs. But it's going to be really interesting to see to what extent all of these different Web3 type games being built out in crypto right now are going to be able to deliver on their promises. I have a good feeling about a lot of these Cardano projects, even when they're making big, ambitious plans, because Cardano itself, the base layer, was a big, ambitious plan. And now, just this week, we're seeing IOG and the Cardano Foundation and Emergo, the founding entities, delivering after years, delivering on that promise. So I hope all of these Cardano-based Web3 games achieve the same results and deliver on all of their promises, because certainly people are going to buy these NFTs, and then it'll be on the teams to actually deliver on their ambitious promises. Having said that, and I know I say this every time, but having said that, you need to be aware that with every genre of project in Cardano, some of them are going to fail. Even some of these very cool looking Web3 gaming projects, some of them are going to fail. You know, at least one, but probably some of these projects are going to fail, and the people who buy those NFTs are going to be left holding the bag. So you need to be aware of that. Not all, even in Cardano, not all of the projects will succeed. Some of them will actually fail. So be careful out there. Finally, Carda Station has a brand new website. Look at that gigantic Earth view. I love this. I love the view of the Earth. It takes you a second to realize, if I can see the Earth, I must be somewhere else. In this case, we are in a metaverse on the moon. So they've got all kinds of stuff on the new website. It is much prettier than the old website. And Carda Station also has something else coming right now. It looks like Carda Station wants you to be able to get around the moon a little bit easier. They've got a moon dirt bike, a moon street bike, and a moon multi-passenger vehicle, all coming on the 25th of September in a new vehicle mint. Here's the info on that mint. It looks like there's going to be 1,000 of the dirt bikes, 750, I believe, of the multi-passenger vehicle, and 250 of the street bikes, if I'm understanding correctly. It looks like the prices on those will be 60, 80, and 100. I'm actually kind of excited about this. You might remember a video a while back when I walked around inside Carda Station, because I wanted to see the Army of Spies building that had been erected up there. But I was also just curious because Carda Station is one of only a very few functioning metaverses we have in Cardano right now, where you can actually be on the ground walking around. And it's the moon, so gravity is lower, and it's actually kind of hard to get around. You're kind of like jumping and bouncing, and it kind of feels like you're in slow motion. So I'm excited that they're going to have some faster vehicles to get you around the metaverse a little bit quicker, because I plan on doing a little bit more exploring and showing you guys exactly what's going on in Carda Station. Interestingly, 20% of this mint will be distributed to holders of the garage deed. We've talked about this in the past. They've got this really interesting dynamic in Carda Station where they've got kind of a bio farm, a solar farm, the garage, and then the community center, the central hub. And if you own deeds in those special areas, certain things can happen. In this case, the garage deed holders, the lucky ones, they get 20% of the mint. I think this is a really interesting dynamic in a Cardano metaverse, that owning one of these common areas is your ticket to share in the proceeds of something like this kind of mint. I hope we see a lot more of that in other Cardano metaverses. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.